You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, guys. Welcome in to Watson's Playbook. We got episode 58 for you. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into today. Jeffrey is on the line this week.
Hello, guys.
All right, Jeff. So this week, the finals are here. We've had 2 games already, and the finals have started. And what's interesting, we talked about for a long time now how the playoffs have been pretty interesting. And it's been some pretty interesting games, some really good down-to-the-wire games, some crazy overtime game 7s, and some different things like that. But so far, the finals have seemed kind of not that interesting. Not that interesting, really. But the Suns win both games at home. They win the first game 118-105. In the second game, they win 118-110. And big surprise is Giannis played both. I was shocked to see him out there, Jeff. How were you that surprised to see him out there with the leg injury he has?
It's hard for me to really say that I was surprised. I mean, I think at this point, when you are in the finals, when you're in the grand stage of them all, you need to definitely have, be able to just play. I mean, and be able to play through it. And nobody is healthy at this point during the season. All these guys are banged up, hurt, whatever. Some of them will probably end up having some kind of surgery or something at the end of the season. But yeah, nobody's really 100%. And that's in any sport across the board, whether it's the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, the World Series, even in the hockey or something like that. In any sport towards the end of the season, I don't think there's any individual that's 100% healthy. So if it was like maybe the first round of the playoffs or, whatever, maybe I could understand sitting out if it's not that significant. But you got to play through it. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. You're already in that. You got to there's no sense in not trying to play through it unless you are completely out. You know what I mean? It's just impossible. Like an Achilles injury or something insane,
Right. And did you see the video when he injured it? Did you see that?
No.
Oh, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. He hyperextended his knee. His knee bent backwards. Now I've done that to my knee, not backwards. My knee bent to the side, and it was pretty bad, man. We were playing football, and I got landed on my knee. My knee felt like it popped out of place, and it was pretty painful. The next day, I couldn't walk. I had to go to the hospital, and I was in a leg brace for like 3 or 4 weeks. It was not fun. But I was shocked to see him out there. I thought that he would need to take more time. But I guess the doctors probably told him there's not going to be any. You can't make it worse. You can't. There's not going to be any long-term effects, hopefully, from it. So, but you're exactly right in that this might be the Bucks' only shot, right? And you look at the way the Bucks have gotten there, and they beat the Nets, who depleted with injuries, and the Suns the same way. Suns, you go through teams. The Lakers were hurt, the Nuggets were hurt, Kawhi Leonard was hurt. So the way they went there too, this might be the only year for these teams to get there. And so I really think that's what's kind of driving them too, is, not only a chance to win a championship, but this is their best chance, might be their only chance to get there. So, Giannis played really good the first night. He had 20 points, 17 rebounds. Chris Middleton looked good. He had 29 points. They fell short. Giannis last night's 42 points, Jeff. He scored 42 points, and they still couldn't get the job done. Chris Middleton only had 11 points. Drew Holiday only had 17. These guys are showing that they can't step up. They're not consistent enough. That's my biggest thing with Chris Middleton. One thing with him is one day he looks like he could be a number one. He's playing really good. He's 20, 30, 30 to 40 points a night. And other games, he goes missing. And the game last night, if Giannis scores 42 points, you got to win that game. They had a chance to steal one on the road, and they couldn't do it. The good news is Giannis does look pretty healthy. I don't think that injury has kind of put any hiccup in his step, but so far they're kind of in loss of worth. And I think I picked the Suns in 6, and the Suns I could easily see sweeping this series, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see it happening, but I think the Bucks will win the game. I would be surprised if they didn't. Maybe the only way they would is if there's a night where Booker's might be off, even though that sounds crazy. Or like something happens with Chris Paul, even though that may or may not happen. But yeah, like it's so interesting because these two teams are so unknown in terms of like to the general public. They're just kind of unknown franchises that have young talent that are still kind of unknown to the not to the hardcore fan who pays attention all the time, but to the casual fan that's tuning in that is like, oh yeah, basketball's on. Like my dad, he doesn't pay attention to really. He pays attention to Mavericks, but he doesn't watch what's going on in the NBA outside of Dallas. You know what I mean? And so him watching it is probably going to be like, oh, whoa, these are two different teams. I don't know any of these people. And it seems to be like young players. So somebody like that, I think would be very intrigued to watch and very just engaged, I think a little bit more maybe than your hardcore fan, which wants to see the big guns going at it, the Durants and the, kind of the flashiness of that and the Hollywood nature of those big names. You know what I mean?
Right. And there's a lot of things like, when you look at both these teams, and I've talked about this plenty of times. I've told you before, to me, in my opinion, the Suns are playing the most complete team basketball. They're getting consistency out of a lot of guys. Devin Booker puts up. He's going to score. He's going to score his points. But there's some nights like game 2, he was 1 for 9 from the 3-point range. He didn't shoot well. But there's games like last night when Bridges last night put up 27 points. So he was able to step up and put that up. Ayton only had 10 points last night, but the game before he was over 20 points. So you're having those guys step up in time that they really need. And I hear these little sound bites from their coach on the sideline, and he seems like a really good leader. He's got this team firing on all cylinders. Chris Paul's been firing on all cylinders since he's been healthy. He put up 32 points game 1. He scored 16 points in the third quarter to help them pull away. He had 27 last night, I believe. But you have guys that are stepping up, and you have Chris Paul and Devin Booker doing their job. And then you have Ayton, who's young. He's not a rookie. I think his rookie season was last year. But you got him playing at a high level. And with them scoring all over the double digits, they're going to be hard to beat. And I don't think Milwaukee has the firepower to make this a competitive series. And that's the biggest issue because, Giannis had a chance to leave, and he decided to stay because he wanted them to put a team around him. They bring in Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday's been horrible for him. He's been bad, and He's not worked out there. His numbers are down from last year. And then you look at Chris Middleton, and like I said, he's always been this way. He's been inconsistent, and he's had a successful career as far as where he came from. He was undrafted, I believe, and came in to be this guy. And at nights, and sometimes he can be that number 2 or even be a number 1, but he's so inconsistent with it. But so we'll see. I Bucks probably if Bucks are going to take a game in this series, they probably win Game 3. But the Suns are rolling on all cylinders, and I think they're going to win the championship. And who knows if it's a fluke or not? Like I said, I got a buddy named Manuel. Manuel got it from school, and he's a big Phoenix Suns fan.
Yeah,
and I told him I'm rooting for the Suns to win, but we keep arguing. We still argue with each other. I'm like, look, we're on the same team. I don't want to take away from what the Suns are doing, because what they're doing is really good, and the way they're playing basketball and their coach has got this team going. But when you look at the way they got here, it's probably one of the most, the way they got here is through injuries. I think Lakers beat them if they're healthy. We're up 2-1 before Anthony Davis got hurt. They go on to face Denver Nuggets with Joker, and that's it. That's all they have. That Murray has been out the whole season. Then they go on to face the Clippers, and then Kawhi Leonard goes out, and then so they beat them. And I'm not trying to take away what the Suns accomplished, but those are the facts. They got here, they faced injured team after injured team after injured team, and look, that's a part of it, right? That injuries are a part of the league. They took advantage. They won the games. So I'm not trying to take away from the spotlight for the Suns here. That's just the fact.
It is, yeah. Right? It's part of the thing. They say the same thing, and when it comes to baseball, same thing when it comes to football. If there's a weakness on a team, then you take advantage of the weakness. It's the same thing as if, in football, if you notice that there's a discrepancy, mismatch on the wide receiver end, guess where you're going to attack? You're going to attack the mismatch. Right. So it's.
It's the same way when people they bring this up in football all the time. Oh, your schedule was easy. Well, we showed up. We didn't make a schedule. We played the games. We still had to show up and play. Right.
Well, and honestly, there are times where you're going to get beat by a team that you may should have beaten. It happens.
Oh yeah.
Cowboy fans should know this one. Happens to them all the time. So it's just kind of like when you go up against teams that you shouldn't have beaten, you beat them, but then you go up against a team that's, not even in the playoff picture and you lose. Those things happen.
Right.
It's just part of the game,
all the time. And it's, any given Sunday, any given day, I think when your team's schedule comes out, you always look at it, and a lot of teams I see a lot of people do this all the time. They pencil in wins, and they're like, oh, we're going to be 15-2 next year. I'm like, okay, guys. Okay, let's be realistic about it. We'll split between the Vikings. The Bears may get us one time. We'll see. Depends on Andy Dalton. I try to be realistic with it, but like I said, I'm not trying to take away from it. I just told him, I'm like, that's the truth. You did play injured teams, but I told him, I was like, I'm rooting for the Suns to win. So let's stop the argument.
It could have easily gone another way. It could have been like, the Nets are fully stacked, no injuries, no nothing. Everyone else is hurt. Everyone else is banged up, and they would have just rolled house, all over everybody. And so it's just kind of like it could have happened to anybody. Fortunately, it happened to a team that hasn't done anything in a very long time. So, hey, two teams, yeah. And how could you want to root against either one? Who the heck is doing that? Yeah, other than the fans, other than the Suns fans or the Buck fans, but in general, nobody's really rooting against these two teams. So
right. And what I like about one thing, and it's kind of interesting, nobody on this team, on either team, has won a championship. Nobody, not on the bench. So they're all fighting for the very first championship, which I think is awesome. And another interesting thing is Larry Fitzgerald is part owner of the Suns and Aaron Rodgers is part owners of the Bucks. So whoever wins, they'll be getting a championship ring. Now, it's not the championship ring that Larry Fitzgerald wants, but he'll gladly take one. And Aaron Rodgers, he'll have 2 rings now, right? Does that count, Jeff? Does that count?
Oh God,
I don't think that will count. No. But I'm happy for both these teams. I'm rooting for Giannis to get one. I'm rooting for Chris Paul and Devin Booker to get one.
And this is,
but I just think the Suns are going to wipe. I just think the Suns in 4.
I think that's an easy prediction is predicting the Suns to win. At this point, they are up 2-0. Who knows? And who knows? Things can change, and it's even. And so. I just think ultimately, if I had to put a pick on it, I would pick the Suns to win. I think I said that before. They're just. I
think we predicted it last. Yeah. I think we predicted it last.
Yeah,
week.
They just seem like the more complete team, the more ready team. Not to take anything away from Giannis, he's done an amazing job. But yeah, if he's not even 100, if he's not 100%, this is going to be a very tough a series for the Bucks to try to win that. Coming up against a fiery hot team that's just firing on all cylinders. I definitely don't see the Suns losing this.
And it's hard. It was hard to predict because you never knew if Giannis isn't playing, they don't have a shot. He played game 1. He looked pretty good. Game 2, he took over, and him taking over, they still didn't win. So it just seems like it's going to be hard unless Chris Middleton really puts up a real number 2 stat line of, if Giannis puts up 42, you need Chris Middleton to put up 25 or more, close to about 30 points, I think. And then you need a third score. So, but we'll see what happens. I think the NBA ratings, they said, are up 13%.
That's awesome.
From 13 or 15% from last year's finals.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There was this playoffs is up 30%.
Yeah.
So that's good news for the NBA and the way and the direction they want to go. So that was a kind of a shorter spotlight of the week. The NBA finals. After the NBA finals is over, we're going to get into the NFL. We got a lot of different things to talk about with the NFL. That kind of feeds a lot of our show. Because that's my favorite sport, and a lot of your guys' favorite sport too. So we'll get into that later down the line. We got a lot of headlines that popped out this week. Some interesting ones. What's
going on with the big topic that really took everything by storm, listeners, is this whole. And you may not heard about it or not. And sure, maybe a lot of you actually have. This is a huge, huge, crazy story by ESPN or from ESPN with some drama. What's going on, Brian?
Well, there's a cat fight going on, Jeff, and it is Rachel Nichols. And Rachel Nichols has been on the scene for a really long time. She is an analyst for the NBA. She's on the sideline a lot of times. She has her own show called The Jump that she's on. And Rachel Nichols made a comment a year ago, back in 2020. This comment was leaked a year later. This comment was leaked where Rachel Nichols suggests that Maria Taylor got her job over her because the color of her skin, and said that basically it was just a hire for ESPN to look good because of the BLM movement that was going on in 2020 and all that stuff. So those came out, and it doesn't look good, right? That's never a good thing.
Keep in mind, everyone, ESPN is Disney. It's Disney. It's owned by ABC, which I think Disney owns a massive chunk of ABC. So ESPN is basically owned by Mickey Mouse.
Gosh, Mickey. No, look, this looks bad on all three. Okay, it looks bad on ESPN. It looks bad, of course, on Rachel Nichols, and it looks bad on Maria Taylor. Now, Maria Taylor is I don't know how long she's been doing this. She got the job to do the 2020 sidelines of the NBA, and I believe it was the sidelines of the NBA last year, and a certain, I don't know what show, I forget what show she's on. I don't know much about her, but she's on a show that Rachel Nichols wanted to be on. So basically, Maria Taylor was off. She's getting paid $1.5 million, Jeff. Okay. She was offered a contract of $5 million a year. She turned it down, said she wants Stephen A. Smith money. Okay. She wants Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, Jeff, makes $8 million. $8 million to come out with his fake sport takes. Okay. She turned it down, said, no, I want Stephen A. Smith money. I'm not taking that. So she's in the middle of a contract dispute. Well, why was this video leaked now, Jeff? A year later. Why? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't benefit anybody except Maria Taylor. So I honestly, wholeheartedly believe that Maria Taylor's side releases tape because she's hoping that Rachel Nichols is gone. It kills her competition from another female NBA analyst, and it just boosts her up to say, to be the victim and with those comments and to make more money. There's no side. And ESPN held on to this for a whole year. They knew it was there. Didn't do anything about it. And the only reason they're doing things about it now is because of the fact that they're trying to save face. That's the only reason they're doing anything is because it came out. That's it. So Rachel Nichols has been pulled from the NBA sidelines. They didn't want her to be any distraction towards the NBA players. And the jump was pulled from the air the other day. I don't know if it's back on TV, if she's going to continue. What lies ahead for Rachel Nichols? Obviously, what Rachel Nichols said was wrong. But she said it not knowing she's being taped. Okay, it's not excusable, but she said it out of anger, right? If anybody out there, you work, you're hard at your job, and you've been there longer, and someone else gets a promotion over you, you might say something out of anger and be pretty frustrated. That happens. But what she said was inexcusable. It's a bad look on her, especially with everything going on in the world. It's a bad look on ESPN for them not doing anything about it when it happened. And it's a bad look for Maria Taylor on why this was released now. ESPN is not releasing it. Rachel Nichols isn't releasing it. The only side is Maria Taylor. And now Rachel Nichols can sue ESPN for this getting out. Because she was taped against her knowledge. So there's a lot of big mess. This has been a big, huge mess for the NBA, for ESPN especially, and going forward. And Maria Taylor, her last I heard was offered, the contract was offered $3.5 million. So they're not going up on the money. They're lowering the money. This might end up biting her in the end. I don't know. But it's been a big, huge story. And quite the cat fight that Maria Taylor wants nothing to do with Rachel Nichols, that she doesn't accept her apology. She doesn't even want her on the same show as her. It's insane. It's insane what they got to try and do over there at ESPN to try and clean all this up.
Well, I mean, I'm sat here and I've looked up her career in terms of as a sports anchor or a reporter, and I mean, her career kind of started back in 2012, and it just kind of, little by little, she did various jobs, whether it's recording, SEC men's basketball stuff, various college football games, a lot of college stuff for a while until about, I'd say 2009, and that's when she really got into the big the big stuff, NBA Countdown, pregame shows for ESPN Friday night and Sunday afternoon basketball games. And then just recently in 2020, so last year, she became the sideline reporter, in particularly in a game with Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Giants on a Monday Night Football. I think the opening game, football opener. So yeah, her career's not been as long as you'd think in terms of maybe Rachel Nichols. I think maybe Rachel Nichols has been around for a little longer than that. But here's my thing. This is what I don't understand. When stuff like this happens, why do people tend to open their mouth unless they're like where was she at work when this happened? In the studio?
I'm guessing so.
That idea.
There was someone else there too, Jeff.
Right, but my thing is if you're gonna have an opinion about it, and you're at work, which is in a studio full of very expensive microphones, very expensive cameras, very expensive stuff. You're on a hot mic. You potentially could be on a hot mic, and if you say the wrong thing.
See, but I don't know if she was at work. That's my guess.
I'm assuming.
I have no
I'm
idea.
assuming because she was
Right.
talking to somebody.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. There's another little loop to this, Jeff. The guy she was talking to was LeBron James' spokesman. He's LeBron James' spokesman, one of his right-hand men.
Okay.
And the guy in the video said he's tired of the BLM movement and the Me Too stuff, which is pretty interesting because LeBron James is, one of the, I guess you could call it, woke athlete leader, whatever you want to call it. So
He's been an outspoken proponent of it. And to hear that's a little odd. I don't know if that was just a setup for her or not, but you gotta just not say anything, when you're that in the spotlight and you run the risk of ruining your entire career, and once that happens, it's like nobody wants to work with you anymore. And I just think that it's just one of those times where I'm like, if you just didn't say anything, if you'd have kept it to yourself or maybe talked to your spouse about it behind closed doors, maybe voiced your frustration, about it. But the fact that she said it, thinking this guy may have not recorded her, thinking that she was in a room full of people she trusted. I don't know. You see this happen more and more and more. You see this happen time in and time out, not just Rachel Nichols. I mean, this happened to a lot of people. And I'm just like, I'm not saying that what she said was correct either. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, we're human beings and we have thoughts that come in our head all the time. You can't, it's like saying a thought without thinking the thought through before saying the thought. And people do that all the time. And I think when it's somebody who is in a position of importance, whether it be in the sports world or anywhere, they're going to be held to a higher standard than your average Joe, on the street. You know what I mean? So,
and then what's interesting is there's been some people that work with Rachel Nichols that, they want her gone. There's been some people that say exactly what she said was right. That this was a what they call a token hire, and ESPN did it because they felt pressured to hire African American woman. So I don't know. I'm not there working. I don't know behind the scenes.
Well, what I find weird too is she's not the only one. This isn't the only African American woman that's working at ESPN. There's plenty that talk sports, that do reporting on stuff, so on and so forth. So it's really odd that's turning into this, even though ESPN's they have plenty of reporters, not only women, men. I mean, one of their highest paid sports analysts is Stephen A. Smith. You know, I mean, and so it's kind of like, you know, and he's outspoken. He says stuff a lot that are opinion based, and you know, and it's fine. But I think the thing is like, it's a diverse staff there. I don't really see, they have Hispanic people there that, you know, run stuff too. So it's just, I think to think that there's not enough diversity going on at ESPN, I think is a little odd. But
like I said,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't try and jump on either side.
Yeah.
What you said was wrong.
Oh yeah.
But I understand that we say things out of anger, and I try and put myself in, you know, both shoes there.
But I mean, also if I thought that I legitimately got a job opportunity and then found out that I only got it because someone thought that it would have been a good PR move, I would be mad about that.
Well,
too,
it looks like, you know? Jeff froze up. This usually never happens.
Do what?
Are you there?
Yeah,
Jeff?
You froze.
You froze.
Oh.
No, you froze.
That's weird. You did too.
You were literally like, if I
you froze.
Well, we can edit this part out.
You froze too, buddy. That was weird.
Okay. It never happens.
Yeah.
So start with your opinion again, or you were saying that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like if all of a sudden somebody's like, "Hey, we want to hire you for a job," and then I find out, well, they hired me because I was, you know, Hispanic or whatever. That would kind of make me feel odd too. And then if somebody then said that's the only reason I got the job, then I would probably be very frustrated at the person who said that as well. You know, so you know.
Yeah, well, you know, it goes back to the same thing we were talking about. That what's her name? Hammond, the female coach, getting hired. If you're hiring someone just to hire the female coach, if you're hiring someone just because, oh, we need another African American person or another Mexican person or another, you know, white person in here, that's not a good reason. It doesn't benefit anybody when you do that. You need to pick who interviewed well, who has the history, who can do the job.
And who knows? I mean, ESPN could have looked at it and said, she's good. We've seen enough of her during the college stuff. We've seen enough of her during the basketball stuff, whether it be college basketball, whether it be actual NBA stuff. And we saw her just recently in 2020 doing sideline reporting at the NFL opener game. So if they had sat there and looked at it and said, she's good, she can hop on board, no big deal. And then, you know, if Rachel Nichols says, oh, well, they only did that because of such and such. Well, we don't know that, you know, we assume that, right? We're supposed to assume that, but we don't really know that. And for Rachel and for Maria Taylor to be like frustrated about that or mad about that, I could understand. If it happened to me, I would be pretty mad too. If somebody assumed that I just got the job, you know, for whatever. Right.
When you say that, it takes all credibility that the person
worked for it. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that would be messed up if somebody said that to you. I mean, if it was the other way around and you got hired onto a job because you knew a family member that worked at a place, but yet somebody was like, oh, you just got handed the job, you would look at it and go, no, I had to work to get to this point. So you're kind of discrediting what I did before, right. You know.
And in her comments, Rachel Nichols' comments, she doesn't really have any. She doesn't say anything personally towards Maria Taylor. She actually says, you know, they're doing this because it's a diversity hire, and she said she wishes her all the best. I think it was just said more out of frustration. Not that's right, but you know, it's ESPN's problem to deal with, and maybe Maria Taylor walks and goes somewhere else, because I don't know if she's going to accept her $3.5 million contract when she already turned down $5 million and wants $8 million. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Rachel Nichols in the long run. But all right, Jeff. Our next headline a Miss Richardson. I'll probably butcher her first name. I think it's Sha'Carri. I'm not sure. But Miss Richardson, an Olympic runner from Dallas, gets suspended 1 month for smoking marijuana.
Marijuana.
Mary J, the devil's lettuce. She had a really good shot to be the first USA winner of the 100-meter race since 1996. Now, she qualified for the Olympics and she broke a record in the qualifying. So they thought she does this in the Olympics, she'll win the gold medal. But unfortunately, on our condolences, though, for Miss Richardson, her mother passed away a week before the trials of the Olympics, and she decided to smoke marijuana to help her cope. I can understand that, right? The thing is Miss Richardson, look, all due respect, she owned it, right? She didn't make any excuses. She said, look, I knew the rules. I smoked some weed to help with passing of my mother. It is what it is. And I own it. I respect that. She didn't come in here and start complaining. But Jeff, everyone else is complaining. I get it. You may think it's a dumb rule, right? I don't care about weed. We've seen the NFL kind of get away from testing from it, and the punishment is a lot less now. But that's not the issue here. Everyone's complaining, oh, they should let her run. This is BS. She broke a rule. That is a rule that she signed up for to go to the Olympics. She broke it. There are consequences to said rule. That's it. I'm not really going off on her. I'm going off on everybody else that this is BS. They shouldn't be doing. And that's not a question of is this rule is right. It is this rule's in there, and she broke it. There are consequences to breaking rules that might blow your mind, but there is. I don't know what else I could say, Jeff. People drive me crazy with this. I'm like, she broke a rule. That's it. Now, later on down the road, if you want to start a petition and get that rule changed, that's fine. But that's not going to change anything right now for anybody. That's just a rule that the people who do the testing for the Olympics has, and that's it.
Right. She owns it.
Right.
She owns it. She has not once bashed the Olympic organization, any U.S. Olympic committees or anything like that for the rules that they put in place for athletes across the nation, across the world. And so needless to say, I understand completely her maybe needing something to cope, which I would rather her do that than pop pills to cope with stuff. So, when it comes to that, especially grief, things like that. So if she's having a difficult time with that, I get it. I completely get it. Unfortunately, it is part of the rules. And maybe she's young, she's really young. So she's got a lot to learn, and she's going to be back. She's insanely talented. I saw some of the races that she's ran, and I'm just like, it's incredible. So very talented. She will be back. I know a lot of people get frustrated about it and everything, but don't stress because of the fact that she's so young, she'll be right back in there in a couple of years competing again and probably whooping everybody. So
let's hope. She had it was just a 1 month ban, so she could have ran with the Olympic team to do the hurdles. Yeah. But the Olympic team decided to leave her off the roster, Jeff. So that's controversial right there. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want all the
attention,
that distraction taken away from the team,
probably,
and everything else. I'm not sure, but
that's needless to say, that's not part of the rules. That's somebody making some kind of decision on the Olympic team. but that's be a bone to pick with them. But needless to say, she's too talented. The U.S. track team hasn't been jack for a long time, and she's made it exciting and interesting. So she's already marketable. I think she has a deal with Nike. I'm sure that's probably going to stick around. I don't think that's going to be messed with at all. So she'll still be getting money from sponsorships, but ultimately, yeah, I think she's a world-class talent. She'll be back the next time. And obviously I'm sure she will not make the mistake again,
Let's hope not. All right, Jeff, our next headline here, and it goes the same thing. If there's a rule, if you break it and get caught, there are consequences to those rules. Well, Jeff, Reggie Bush wants his Heisman Trophy back. So we all know back in the day, it was illegal for college players to get paid money, right? It happened a lot, though. I mean, it happened probably quite a bit, and it has to be under the table and hush-hush. Reggie Bush and the whole USC scandal, they got found out, and they took Reggie Bush Heisman Trophy from him. Said, you don't earn this, you didn't earn it, you don't get it. I'm not sure if his stats got taken out of the record book. So he messaged the NCAA, I want this back because the name, image, I can't talk. The name, image, and likeness is just at the NCAA, and we'll talk about that in a second here. But everyone else backing up Reggie Bush here. Give him his Heisman back. Give him his Heisman back. Again, guys, if you break a rule, it does, and there's consequences. Now, look. If I go driving down the road and I get a speeding ticket for going 55 and a 50 miles per hour, let's say I did that 2 years ago. They changed that speed limit now to 65. Should I be able to go back and be like, well, you changed the rules, so I need to get my money back? No, that does not how it works. Reggie Bush broke a rule when the rules were the rules. Now they're changing up a little bit, and he wants his Heisman Trophy back. That's not the way it works, Reggie Bush. You shouldn't cheat it in the first place to get there. Period. End of discussion. It's pretty black and white here, but so many people are backing him too, and I'm like, it's crazy. It's crazy. He broke a rule.
They can back him. I just don't necessarily think it's going to really count anything. It's just, I don't think anything's going to come out of it. I'd be surprised if anything did. Reggie Bush had a career in the NFL, whether it be, I guess, mediocre success. I don't think he was never really
compared
on a
to what he
team that
did
did anything.
In college.
I'd say mediocre success. I don't think he was a game changer, but I don't know. Maybe he's sitting around now going like, well, that was when I did something, and now I'd like to get credit for that. But ultimately, the thing is that, whether he has it or not, he has tapes and video, and didn't they win a national championship? You have all these things that besides the Heisman Trophy, you were drafted. There's not what is it going to do that you have that? It's just going to, for you to know that you got it. Well, you did get it, but it's just the way you got it is, was against the rules. So ultimately, I don't see anything coming out of this whatsoever.
Yeah, I doubt he gets any of that back, but I'm just like, guys, you broke a rule. There are consequences. Quit trying to get out of those consequences.
And honestly, who is the vocal minority in this, or majority in this thing? Like, who is sitting there like fighting for? Who even knows who Reggie Bush is? Most of the kids today definitely do not know who Reggie Bush is.
Well, older adults, and it's all from his
older adults, yeah,
years.
But not any of the younger 20-something-year-olds. They're not going to know who Reggie Bush is.
Well, they're not going to know what he did in college.
No.
So what are you talking about the NIL, Jeff? And the NIL is the name, image, and likeness has finally hit the college sports. College athletes can now make money off of their own name. You couldn't do that back in the day, and now you can. You can get sponsorships from car dealerships, from whoever. You can monetize your social media and start making money on how popular you are on social media.
2K.
You can do whatever, except there are some stipulations on it, and it's only that you cannot use copyrighted material. So you can, if you're the quarterback for Alabama, you cannot use Alabama gear in your sponsorships. You cannot endorse a alcohol company or a cigarette company or tobacco products. So other than that, these people, college athletes are going to make some money, which good for them. You know, I don't think college athletes deserve to get paid a salary to play their sport. But there's been so many, like there's a lot of stupid rules in college and NCAA. And I mean, football players can't work a job while they have a full ride there. They can't go out and get a job if they need money. You know, they can't do this and that. And there's so many stupid stipulations that now that this is hit, I think it's fantastic for them. And the biggest, and I didn't even think about this the other day. I heard this on the radio the other day, and I was like, it makes sense. And you think who Jeff, who's the person that's going to make the most money off of this that you can think of?
Quarterbacks.
Maybe quarterbacks, right?
Wide receivers, maybe DBs.
And this is all college athletes too.
No linemen. In terms of offensive linemen will not. Kickers, poor kick return guys that aren't even really doing anything. Those guys are going to get squat.
So let me answer that question for you here in a second. And what really kicked this off was, it was about a year and a half ago. There was a player who had he was going to be a punter, I believe, or a kicker for a college team, and I think he had a full ride, full scholarship, and he seemed to be pretty good. Like, he could have probably made pro down the line, but he had a YouTube channel, and his YouTube channel was making money. It was making quite a bit of money, and the NCAA said, you cannot do that. That is against the rules. So you're going to have to give that money back and quit doing YouTube. And the player said, no. He said, I'm going to quit school. I'm going to quit being an athlete, and I'm going to go have my YouTube channel. So that kind of set a lot of this into motion.
But he didn't own his likeness, Brian.
Yeah, he didn't own his name, apparently, when you sign up for that full ride scholarship or any scholarship. It's so weird to me like that. But
you don't own your likeness. Your mom doesn't own the likeness of you, even though she gave birth to you.
That they couldn't even go sign autographs and pay. Oh, you want my autograph for being the quarterback of Alabama or whatever? I'm gonna the Texas Longhorns.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. We had this conversation before, and to me, it's like, I think there should be some, if they are a full-time student and also full-time athlete, because I mean, honestly, football was a lot when Brian and I were in middle school. Like, I'm sure it was even more in high school. I'm sure it gets worse in college, where you're just sitting there, like, just constantly practicing, constantly working out, constantly doing off-season stuff, preparing for the next season, like all this stuff, and then also going to class, and full-time and all this stuff. So it's just kind of like, to me, I'm like, there's got to be some kind of compensation, and the sponsorship stuff's cool and all. It's just, I worry about the players who are not as cool as the quarterback, who are not as cool as the wide receiver, who is not as cool as the running back. Like, So
Let me tell you something interesting here, Jeff. I actually had a question a while ago. You know who's really going to benefit from this? It's all the good-looking women, Jeff, who can monetize their social media, and make money off of that. And it's funny because, it's not. I mean, it's just. Women get a lot more followers than guys do, Jeff. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
especially on social media.
Yeah,
and it is because, guys could be creeps and there's a lot of good looking women, whatever. But, so take for instance, Jeff, you know who Tua Tagovailoa is, obviously, right? Quarterback for Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Well, back when he was in school, he was the quarterback for Alabama, one of the most prestigious schools, and especially winning championships, and Nick Saban, and we all know what they do. They win championships. But he had only had like 500,000 followers, right? Which is, obviously a lot for me and you. That's like, holy crap. So he only had 500,000. Well, Jeff,
that scrub 500,000.
What a joke. No. There's some softball twins. I think they play for Oklahoma. They had like almost 1 million followers, and they play softball. Not that softball, whatever. But you would think that the quarterback for Alabama would just be ranking in all the fun. But so that's my point is, I think once this, the day this happened, the day this went in, there's. Overnight, this person's getting 20,000. This person's getting this. This person's getting that. This, the college twins softball girls are making. I think they're going to rank in over 200 grand this year. Okay, this is good for them though. This has been a long time coming, and name, image, and likeness is something that's here and needs to be in the NCAA.
Well, my question is, can they also now be featured in some of the college sports games? Okay, so like in the college,
there is no college sports games.
Well, right, but EA is working on NCAA football. We all know that. That's public now.
Oh, will they get money from that when they make it?
So the question is, are they going to be using the real likenesses of the players? Are they going to be scanning them in? Are they going to be, because when you play college games before, it was never the name. Be like number 4. It's like, okay.
It was a player. They did use them because some colleges don't even have, they don't put the name on the back of the player. Okay. On the back of the jersey. Some colleges do. So,
but even the likeness, I don't think the likeness they had.
Yeah, they had it. I'm not sure about everybody, but for the main, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for the main quarterbacks and the coaches and everything, they all looked exactly like they looked. That's a good, interesting point because they are. I think they are bringing back the NCAA football, which is going to be fantastic.
I don't really know if EA has a stranglehold on that like they do on the NFL stuff. So I wonder if this could be a renaissance of NCAA or college football games, whether it be from 2K, whether it be from EA.
Let's hope 2K because EA sucks. But so yeah, I don't know. Maybe if they are going to use them, they'll start getting money from that too. That would be huge.
I would assume so. With this deal, I would assume that they would definitely get a piece.
That would be huge.
And EA can definitely afford that. They would microtransaction the hell out of the game. I mean, they do the same thing with Madden with all the fantasy. What is it? What do they call that? Where you get, it's like a fantasy team and you get packs and you pay for these players and I forgot what they call that, but fantasy something. But anyway, any of you probably might know what that is. But yeah, I know that they rake in multi-hundreds of millions of dollars a year on just Madden. I'm not talking about FIFA, which is in the billions, I'm sure. So yeah, EA could definitely afford to pay for the likeness of these players. So
Definitely. All right, Jeff. Well, the Dallas Cowboys get selected for Hard Knocks. Now, this is the third time, Jeff, they will be on
the big accomplishment of Hard Knocks, the show that every organization wants to be a part of. It's a crowning achievement, you know?
No, yeah, it's actually the opposite. Now, Jerry Jones is probably jumping up and enjoy this. Gets more publicity for his team.
More publicity, more merchandise sales, more star hats. And,
if you're a fan, you probably like it too on the sense that you get
to see an inside.
You get the inside look. I think that's kind of cool. There has to be stipulations, though, to be selected for Hard Knocks. You can't make the playoffs. You can't be in the playoffs. I think it's the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
You can't have a new head coach. And something else. There's some other stipulation I forgot, but yeah, this doesn't mean you're a good football team. This means you've struggled. And only those teams that struggled are eligible for this. And it's something that coaches don't want behind the scenes. And what are they showing? It's just a headache for a lot of teams. And I like the show. I like the behind the scenes look. I would like it even more if it was more opened. Hard Knocks did the Raiders last year, and Antonio Brown was on there, and we didn't hear anything about his frozen foot. And so they do kind of get to say what the NFL team kind of gets to say what goes out and what comes in.
There's a lot of cherry picking stuff. There's a lot of, I think with the Raiders, it was like, look how great the Raider Nation is. Look how amazing our history is. Even though it's not very successful. Look how all this crazy stuff, Raider Nation. And it's just kind of like, nothing's real about this. It's all just fluff. Everything's perfect. We're gearing up. Gruden's ready, blah, blah. And I think we're going to get the same. Unfortunately, I think we're not going to get the real story with the Cowboys. I think you'll get an inside look, but it'll be an inside look that's cherry picked and combed over 1,000 times so that it makes the Cowboys look good, not look bad in any kind of way.
Right.
Right.
And this has gone on for 16 years, I think now, or something like that. This Hard Knocks. There's been 16 teams on there. No team that's been on Hard Knocks has ever won a Super Bowl the year after. So that's not a good sign. So we'll see what happens. I love football. I'll be interested in watching the episodes, no matter what team it is.
So you were assuming that the Cowboys are going to beat Green Bay, Tampa Bay.
What?
No. Oh, okay.
No.
I was just saying. You, if they weren't on Hard Knocks, were you assuming they were going to the Super Bowl?
No. I wasn't assuming that at all. They got to figure out how to win their division first, Jeff. But that being said, that's not a good thing for the Dallas Cowboys. We have some sad news, guys. Look, I hope your 4th of July weekend was fantastic. Mine was pretty lame. And honestly, my big girls were up in Kansas, and my youngers, I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they don't really know what 4th of July is, right? They don't know. They know fireworks, but they're not looking forward to them, right? So I took the wife out to eat.
Then you failed, Brian. If they don't know what 4th of July is.
I failed as a father. I'm not American. So this being the first year living in our house, we were hoping to see some fireworks off our back porch. That didn't happen. But since the big girls weren't here, we were like, it'll be okay. We didn't see any fireworks this year. I hope it was safe. I hope it was fantastic. Jeff, let me ask you real quick, how was your 4th of July weekend, Jeff?
It was pretty chilled out. We wanted to stay home. I think I ended up I made some barbecue at the house. And kind of just, had just a quiet evening here. Actually, when they do fireworks, we could go on the balcony and see all of them.
Nice.
And we can see like there's just tons, of people shooting fireworks. So, this year we didn't really do it yet. I think maybe next year we probably might actually go somewhere. They have a park you can kind of walk to in Broomfield and see them there. And then there's some places that have like drive up, which we've done, I think, in Fort Worth by the Cats Stadium. I think we drove over there and watched them there one time. But yeah, it was pretty chilled out, and we ate some barbecue, and then I think we just chilled out and watched a movie or something like that. But when we heard them going off, we kind of went on the porch and looked at them a little bit. But yeah, it was a chill out. We didn't leave. We didn't have to, but yeah, we didn't leave.
Yeah, we went to Texas Roadhouse, and I had a 20-ounce ribeye bone-in steak. That's as American
72-ounce steak.
Oh man. Well, guys,
only in Amarillo, people. Only in
Amarillo. I don't know how good that steak is either. Well, I bring that up because we have some sad news over the 4th of July weekend. Columbus Blue Jackets goalie dies at age 24 after being struck in the chest with a firework. It was an accident. They were shooting fireworks off. It ended up falling over, shooting towards the crowd. I'm talking about the big fireworks. We're talking about one of those mortars, basically mortar. They lit it up. It fell over. It was shooting at the crowd. Mattis, I can't pronounce the guy's last name. But Matisse was struck in the chest. He jumped out of the hot tub. He took off running. One of the shells hit him right in the chest. He went to the hospital and later died. He got to the hospital and died, they said, of chest trauma. They thought it was because he fell and hit his head pretty hard. But that's sad news for his family and friends and the Columbus Blue Jackets. But you never want to hear that, and that's something with fireworks. I'm a little nervous around fireworks. I've had black jets blow up in my hand. You go to throw it back and it pops and right by your ear, and there's so many different dangerous things that can happen with fireworks. But so
yeah, I mean,
no
it's
matter
unfortunate.
how careful
It's
you are,
unfortunate.
some stuff happens like that. But
yeah, that's a horrible thing. Celebration turned chaos. I mean, turned awry, turned deadly. Is absolutely insane. And so yeah, fireworks are kind of crazy. I used to really like. I did it only a few times in my life. Gone to a big stand and got a bunch of stuff and whatever. But now, I guess maybe as I get older, right? It's just kind of like I'm like, I'll just watch them. Yeah, like I'm cool with that.
no, I would love to shoot them off.
Yeah.
But here in Forest city limits, we can't. Even if people still do, we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
So,
And that's another thing. Even here, like I would not shoot personal fireworks out here because even though we've had a lot of rain lately, you still have that risk of like, wildfire, grass fires, and it's just like, no, I don't want to. And I don't think I don't think the public in should be doing it too much because stuff is dry, man. Like, Texas can get dry. I remember seeing grass fires on the side of a highway one time in Texas. Like fires happen here and just burn acres and hundreds of acres because someone decided to shoot a firework off, so I think if it's controlled, if it's like a controlled thing, I think that's cool. I don't have a problem.
I would love to go shoot some in the country somewhere.
Yeah.
We used to go out in the country and have Roman candle wars, which I would still do that today. I love Roman candle wars. I don't, I'm more nervous about my kids doing fireworks because the bad things can happen. But
yes, they can. Yes.
All right, Jeff, we got one more on here. I don't know if it's on your sheet. We got one more headline this week, and it's the MLB All-Star Week, Jeff. Next week is home run derbies on Monday night, and the All-Star game, I believe, is on Tuesday night. So,
yep, happening right behind me.
I don't know, right? It's happening there in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Big dilemma, them changing it up. I'm going to try and watch. I'll probably have to record it and watch it. Joey Gallo from Texas Rangers will be in the home run derby. I'm really excited to see him hit. He has a really good chance of winning this. And then you look at the All-Star game. The Rangers have 3 All-Stars in the game, and I think it's fantastic, especially for a team that has been abysmal this season. You got Joey Gallo. You got possible Rookie of the Year. And Garcia, and then Jordan Lyles, our pitcher, might be. I don't think he's going to be, but he might be the starter in the AL. But he is the pitcher that made the All-Star game too, which is fantastic for the Rangers to have those 3 in the All-Star game. That's probably our highlight this year. And get ready to sell. So for the Texas Rangers, but. Are you interested in the All-Star game this year, Jeff? The home run derby?
Kind of. All-Star
How many
games
Yankees made it, Jeff? How many Yankees made it?
Probably like maybe 3 or 4. But I don't know. I mean, in terms of starters, I don't know. Maybe I know it's possible that I know Cole's in it. I know probably Urshela's probably in it. Gleyber Torres is in it. I think Aaron Judge is in it.
Is Garrett Cole in it?
Garrett Cole's in it, yeah. Yeah.
I heard he wasn't doing too good after sticky stuff.
No, he hasn't been doing too good, which is weird. But I think, the name's huge, so I think that's the only reason he's in there. Plus, I think that's fans voting. But yeah, I think also Gary Sanchez, who's been turned around completely, been doing insane, and Aaron Judge too. I thought Aaron Judge would be injured at this point of the year, which he usually is, but he's been a workhorse, dude. He's been playing like crazy almost every game he's been in. I think he had a day off. Maybe I think he's only missed maybe 4 or 5 games. It's crazy. They've been working him. So he's doing well. Gary Sanchez is doing well. So I could see Gary Sanchez in there as well. But yeah, there's some sleepers on the Yankees that should be there, but I know they're not. Like Shane Green should be there. I don't think Chapman is there. I don't know, something's wrong with him. He's been screwing up lately and badly. But other than that, yeah, I typically will pay attention to it if I remember to. If not, then I'll catch it. But the interesting part is I'm seeing all this crazy stuff that they're doing. They're having like some kind of museum with all these paintings that people have been making that are baseball related. So it's a lot of like history stuff, whether it be, part of the Black history, baseball stuff, regular history of baseball stuff that, like you got your typical Babe Ruth stuff and things like that. They're doing all this artwork, which is kind of cool. And they have a lot of like activities for people, like rob a home run. It seems like there's gonna be a lot of fan interaction.
That's cool.
Locally, which is kind of cool.
When I was growing up, I really loved the All-Star game. Like, man, you're taking the best of the best pitcher and batters and putting them against each other. I always thought it was really cool. And I'm just interested to see what the Rangers guys are going to do on the team, the All-Star team this year. I'm surprised we have 3 that made it. So
it's and honestly, the game means something. There's a home field advantage,
right?
Factor in there, which I think is pretty cool.
Yes. Yes.
As opposed to like NBA, where it means jack squat and
it's 175 to 160. It's like, what in the world?
Or football, which I don't even know why they have it personally.
Football's abysmal. It's just pointless.
It might as well be flag football at that point. So, it's abysmal. Half the time you don't even see the real players that you want to see.
I don't watch it. I take a week off. I get set up for the Super Bowl. You can't blitz and you can't really tackle, and it's just like, let's just play patty cake. Get on with it, man. Yeah.
But yeah, I may or may not pay attention. Who knows? If I remember it's on and nothing's going on, then I'll tune in. But I'll probably just see highlights and stuff, you know?
We haven't done much of a baseball talk on here, and maybe that's on us. But we already have All-Star Game is halfway through the season, which is crazy to think about. And I've never been really into the the MLB draft, Jeff, because let's be honest, when you draft these guys, you're not going to see them for 5 to 25 years. You know,
you may not even see them at all. You know.
So yes, so that's the thing. But the Rangers pick number 2 this year. And there's 2 pitchers coming out of Vanderbilt. One's named Jack Leiter, and one is named Kumar Rocker. And basically, they are both projected to be for sure starters in Major League Baseball. And especially Jack Leiter is supposed to be they're talking about the most for sure thing you're going to get. He'll probably come up and pitch in Double-A, maybe Triple-A, but he'll be in baseball within 2 years. And if we do not select one of these pitchers, Jeff, I'm going to lose my marbles. All right. They're talking about us selecting a shortstop, which is a really good shortstop, and something about saving our big selection for number 2 pick and all this crap. If the Texas Rangers don't select one of these pitchers for the first 2 picks in the draft, we're not wanting to win, Jeff. We're not wanting to win. That's all I got to say about that. But I usually don't follow into the draft. But no, it's interesting to see, to me at least, what the Rangers are going to do, and where we go from here. Who are we going to trade? Do we trade Joey Gallo? Do you want to sign Joey Gallo? We got potentially the Rookie of the Year, but guess what, Jeff? Do we want to keep him? Because he's 28. He's not your traditional rookie who starts off at 19 or 20. He's 28. So it's just like, do we trade him? Do we keep him? So it's I think, considered all the sports, major sports there are, baseball is probably the hardest one to kind of put together a team. It is the hardest one to tear down and rebuild the team. And that's something that the Rangers don't do good. They never have. We've lucked out. I mean, we did in 2010, 2011. We didn't get the job done. But we're still in lingo.
Most of those players are out at that point, right? Was Andrews the last one out?
Basically, we were getting rid of all those players and kind of starting over, and which is something that's needed to go down here for a really long time. And sorry, I didn't really mean to get into a lot of Rangers stuff here, but
no,
it's something that we needed to do for a long time. And JD admitted last year that we didn't fully go in on the rebuild, which is, you cannot not fully go in on a rebuild here. That's what really frustrated me, and that's kind of why
if you're going on a rebuild, you're going on a rebuild. I mean, we're kind of on a rebuild.
Yeah,
it's like
they had one foot in and one foot out. We'll see what happens. And my issue with the Rangers is we don't develop. They talk about us. We have this guy in AAA, and we have this guy down here, and our farm system's really good. And in 3 to 4 years, we should be contending again. Well, what happens to those guys? Because we don't see them in major leagues. You don't ever see them come up and turn into anything. So our scouting and our developing is not where it needs to be, and it's been like that for a really long time.
Baseball is kind of like, I don't ever really know what's going on in a minor league system until I see something come up. Like I see like the Yankees. Well, and I subscribe to their YouTube channel. Well, they'll every now and then they'll come out with a spotlight, where they'll spotlight a guy, that's coming up, or you'll hear about it, or you'll hear, pro sports rankings, player rankings, and the top 50, the top 100, the top whatever. And so you'll see all that. And that's kind of when I started hearing about these guys. But then again, once I hear them, I don't see them for 2 years, or maybe more. And so baseball's that weird sport where you have to develop these guys over time, and it takes a while. You got to be patient as a baseball fan, because trying to rebuild a team from the ground up with talent within the organization is extremely hard, because they all have to be doing all of the same things at pretty much the same times, where you have one guy coming, he's MLB ready, and the other guy in a year is MLB ready, and the next guy is and then that same year maybe MLB ready, and then so on and so forth. And that's kind of how you would start that, but definitely have to get free agency too. So it's almost impossible to build it from the ground up just from your own talent. You do have to bring in some free agents and pay some money to kind of maybe boost that whole process a little bit,
Right. Look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers are really good at that. They have a lot of guys on their team that they've developed, but they've added free agents. The Yankees are really good at developing players. They've had players come up and you're like, oh, okay, well, this guy's just stepping in because so-and-so is hurt again. And then they're like, oh my gosh, who are we going to send down? When you have an issue of like, who are we going to send back down to AAA? That's a good problem to have. And that's something the only problem never have done.
The only problem with the Yankees is that they're very, very stingy right now. A lot of people are like, oh, Yankee, New York, big money, high spenders, blah, blah, blah. And no, not Hal. Not Hal Steinbrenner. He's very stingy. He's like, we shouldn't have to spend, $200+ million to have a championship team, blah, 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 blah. So, and that's fine and all, but, eventually you're going to have to start spending some money. And the Yankees are in a weird position where, they're probably going to have to start spending some money. If it's not going to happen this year, you're going to have to start spending some money, because we have some talent. It's just the problem is that everybody has to be on the same page at the same time. And that's the problem we run into. Pitching's on, offense is off. Offense is on, pitching's off. Right. And then now it's like bullpen's off. And even though the bullpen's been killing it all year, Chapman can't find the strike zone to save his life, so it's just kind of, it's weird. But and Hal's just like, I don't know. He's very stingy, which is odd for a Yankee fan. It's like, what? Stingy? Just spend money. Who cares? Right. get whoever you need to get. And so it's not like they don't have the money. So it's just kind of, it's an odd thing, because his dad was so different. His dad was just like, I'll buy whatever. Who cares? But he is difference. Oh yeah. Hal is not like his dad for sure.
I've been playing a lot of Major League Baseball the show, and I've got a franchise started with 2 different teams. I got one started with the Blue Jays. I like the talent roster that they got, and I started one with the Atlanta Braves. And I have my pitching difficulty the second hardest, okay? And my hitting ability I have on dynamic. And I got to find the in-between, because I'll go out there and win. I'll hit 8 home runs in one game. I'm like, gosh. But then I put it on the next level up, and I'm like, I can't score any runs. And I'm like, there you go. So I got to find that balance. But I faced the Yankees right off the bat with the Blue Jays, and I'm like, every batter from 1 to 9, I'm like, my gosh. Any one of these guys can kill me right here. So they have a good lineup.
It's just like right now the Yankees have been pretty abysmal. The fans have been booing. There's a lot of frustration, a lot of frustration amongst the fans. I mean, it got to a point where even Hal Steinbrenner they had asked him, and he just said,
"We're playing like crap.
We're playing like crap," and even Aaron Boone was like, this is bad. And
I think he's on the hot seat, by the way. If he doesn't win, if they don't do something this year,
I don't have a problem with that. Honestly, I really don't. He does a lot of weird things. Like, for example, Chapman. We were winning this game, dude. Winning this game. We were up by 4 runs going into the 9th inning. 1, 2, 3 done, right? No. Chapman is struggling. And I don't know what it is. His velocity is down a little bit. He cannot find the strike zone. He's having a hard time. It's so weird because when your pitcher's having a hard time and you obviously see as a manager, he's not finding the strike zone, you just continue leaving him in there. And I'm like, the game's on the line. He ended up giving a grand slam.
Oh.
And they tied the game.
Oh.
And I sat there and I thought, how did that happen? How did that happen? Brian, he didn't throw a strike. As a matter of fact, he hit a guy. And I'm like, so you kept him in there for what? To see if he could get out of it? Like, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, Aaron Boone is, I don't even know. Like, there are a lot of moments like that where Yankee fans are like, what the heck are you doing? Like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? It's just, So him on the hot seat, of course. Now, Hal Steinbrenner I don't know why he made this stupid comment, but he was like, players need to play. I'm like, but that game that Chapman screwed up, he should have been taken out of the game. He obviously was not finding the zone. So it was just like, you remove him, you put somebody else in. And so, yeah. And I think that some of the trust is lost from Chapman. I think they do not trust him right now. So you get Chad Green in there and Chad Green, 1, 2, 3 done. 1, 2, 3 done. Three innings of shutout baseball. And I'm like, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, if Chapman is having a hard time, put somebody else in there. That bullpen is very capable of shutting a team down. So it's just kind of like, but sometimes he makes weird decisions and I'm just like, I don't know. If they decide to get rid of him, I'm fine with it. There's a lot of people that want John Flaherty in there, who was a pitcher for the Yankees, not David Cone. Not David Cone. Is it David Cone? No. I think I'm trying to think of who it was. It's not David Cone. It's somebody else. He threw a perfect game. I'm trying to remember though. Anyway, he's on the Yes Network and team, that broadcasts the games and stuff. And people really want that guy. And he's a pitching guy. He's a pitching minded guy. I don't know if he's all analytical like Boone is. Boone's very analytical. He was analytical when he was on ESPN. So,
well, that's the way baseball, unfortunately, is going.
Right, and I get that.
It's kind of like it's kind of like how much power does a major league manager even have anymore? It's kind of like, this is the analytics. This is what you're going to do, and you're going to follow the sheet. So I was playing a game the other day, and I was up 3-0 headed into the 9th inning, Jeff, and I gave up 4 runs to lose. I was like, it wasn't a grand slam. It was hit here, walk here, hit here. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's kind of, I don't know. It's, as a Yankee fan, I'm like, we have the second half, and typically we're more of a second half. We've always been more of a second half team, which is freaking weird. Typically in the second half, that's kind of when they wake up. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Judge had a team only meeting, which I think is good. He called out a bunch of guys and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so I mean, it's just kind of like, I like to see that kind of thing from him because he is the leader of the team. He is the face right now. I guess he would be the face of the franchise. So,
All right, Jeff. Is that time? It is that time to ask you the question. What's in your locker?
Oh, man. I have been playing Ratchet and Clank a Rift in Time.
Nice, dude.
Like a mad person.
Nice.
It is quite by far one of the most visually stunning games I've ever played in my life.
That's crazy because it's
and that's even coming from like Last of Us 2 and all this stuff. The amount of like textures and ray tracing and the SSD going in and out of different worlds. It's a freaking fast game, dude, where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And the story's cool. The characters are cool. If anybody out there who owns or who may own a PS5, I suggest, or if you're going to get one down the road, I suggest getting Ratchet and Clank. It's an amazing game. It's not very long, which is fine. And I think it's an easy platinum too. So if you wanted to like 100% the game, you could pretty easily. And it's just fun. It's a fun game to play. There's all these cool weapons. There's one that turns the enemies into hedges. So they like it's like a sprinkler, and it hits them, and they all turn into grass, and they're all still and slow, and you shoot at them. There's all kinds of different guns and crazy. There's a ricochet gun that basically looks like a what is it? A pinball, and it hits them, hits, and it keeps hitting them. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, man, I've been playing that a lot. It's an amazing game. Other than that, we have our new couch, which we typically sit on more now. We have the one I think I was telling people about that I was waiting for a guy to come.
Yeah.
Get my old one. And so, yeah, I put that together. My wife loves it. And, I mean, yeah, everything's been pretty good in terms of, there's not much going on. I've been getting a lot more sleep lately, which is nice. So I go to bed earlier, which is good.
That's
typically
nice.
I'm a kind of a late, you know me, I'm typically up pretty late.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been going to bed earlier. She's been going to bed earlier and she feels better. So yeah. And we also went to Evergreen, Colorado recently, which we've gone there a bunch of times, but this time she was like, hey, what are they doing over there? And I was like, I don't know. I think they're like canoes and, boats and all kinds of stuff. And she's like, can you rent one? I'm like, I guess. So we went over and looked, and we rented a paddle boat and
nice.
Just went on the lake and just kind of chilled out for a little bit. And that was pretty cool. So next time she's like, next time let's get a canoe. I was like, okay. so yeah, it was cool. We've been, her mom's, we decided we are not going out of town. Also, we are not going to Arizona. It's too hot. so cancel the tickets, which is fine. I get money back on it because I had like a thing where I can get, if you canceled them before X number of days, you can get money back. So canceled the tickets, and I think her mom's coming into town soon, and her birthday's next week, so we're gonna figure out, we might go out of town, or we may be in town, but we may do something, so I think she's always wanted to go river rafting. I've never been, so
dude, yes, I want to do that.
We're gonna see if we want to do that, or go up to Mount Evans and see the goats. They have mountain goats at Mount Evans. We've never been there before, so it's like it's the tallest. I want to think the second or first tallest peak in the state. So, but yeah, there's like these white mountain goats up there. They just live up there. So she's intrigued by that. She's been talking to me about getting into goat yoga. She wants to try goat yoga. So I was like, I've always been like, no, I don't know about that. So I was like, I guess we will. So maybe we'll do that too. Who knows? But yeah, that's all that's in my locker. Back to you, Brian. What's in your locker?
Well, Jeff's been a hectic week here in the Watson household. So I told you a little earlier that my kids were up in Kansas. Well, they were up. They weren't here over the weekend of July 4th, and they were up in Kansas. We have some extended family up there, and they have 6 kids, and their parents were going on vacation, and my mom volunteered to not babysit, but to watch them for a full week. So she drove up there over the weekend and brought all 6 kids back. So that means I have a total of 10 kids in the house. So it's been hectic. It's been crazy. It's been fun though. We've really enjoyed having them over here, and it's not as bad as we expected it to be, as far as, because I go to bed at 7. I still, this wasn't planned on a week where I was on vacation. I still got to go to bed at 7 and get up early and do those things. So I've been putting in 10 to 12-hour days at work every day this week. It's been a grueling week for me that ways. But we took the kids, well, not me personally, but they took the kids to the stockyards the other day and watched the cattle drive there and show them a little bit of Fort Worth. And we've been to our pool a bunch of times. We've been 2 or 3 times now. We just got back today from the pool. So just trying to entertain them while they're here. And so that's been fun. We've been doing a lot more movie watching, and the kids got here on Monday. So Sunday we were able to sit down and watch some movies, just me and the wife, before the hectic took over. We watched Into the Heights, and it's a musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which he's fantastic. He does Hamilton, which Hamilton's a fantastic musical. And it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it was pretty good. Then we watched a movie called Tomorrow's War with Chris Pratt, and that was actually really, really good. And the basis of this movie is actually pretty awesome. So basically, there's a war going on in the future. It's 30 years from now, and we're losing that war. That humans will be wiped off the planet, and the people come back in time, back 30 years, and tell us, "Hey, we need you to come fight this war, or we're going to all be gone." So they end up.
I'd say no. I'd be like, no,
no. Well, what they do, it's kind of interesting because they start the game. They start the movie off or whatever, and they're watching the soccer match at Chris Pratt's house, and it's a big party he's throwing. And all of a sudden, the people that are coming back from the future just pull up in the middle of the soccer field, and they're like, everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on?" Freaking out. And you can't. The rules are like you can't get drafted unless you die within the 30 years, because you can't run into your future self. So they end up drafting Chris Pratt, who's been in the army before, and they're like, "Yeah, you die in 7 years," and I think he goes to the future. It's pretty cool. I thought at first, I was like, this is gonna probably be stupid and cheesy, and I don't know. It's one of those movies that you really haven't really heard anything. It was just like, oh, this movie comes out tomorrow. Well, what is this movie? It hasn't been a lot of publicity for it and stuff like that, but it's actually really good. And the aliens are called White Spikes, and they're actually pretty freaking sweet, man. They're pretty freaking awesome looking. But go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's free if you have Amazon Prime. So that was a really good movie. Then we took the kids yesterday. We saw the new Boss Baby movie, the Boss Baby 2. And it was actually pretty good. I was expecting it not to be. Boss Baby 1, if you have kids and you watch those type of things, was pretty good. The second one, I thought they did a pretty good job with it too.
Now your kids are going to be bosses.
Yeah. So tomorrow we ain't got much planned. Jana's got to work. I work tomorrow, but I'll be off in the morning, and they go home on Sunday. So it's been a long, long week for me, but it's been fun, but just long hours at work. Next week, I got to learn a whole new route, and I got to go back in at midnight. So that's always fun when we got to do that and do a show and everything else. It's always fun, and my wife loves it when I go in at midnight. I'm just kidding. She hates it. She absolutely hates it. But that's what I got going on in the locker this week. It's been a busy week, ups and downs and everything in between. Hope you guys out there listening to this have had a fantastic week. If I could talk today, I'm trying to talk too fast.
Yeah, like I also forgot, like, so I don't know if anybody listening has seen the viral video that went out at the Walmart in Hazlet, I think Hazlet, Texas. So that video,
that's my Walmart.
It was that video actually was recorded.
That's my Walmart, Jeff. That's my Walmart.
Terrell Owens. Dio. So that actually was recorded by a friend of my wife. So my wife has a lady who she's known ever since she was probably like 6. Family friend, helps as basically one of my wife's best friends ever, and her husband actually was the one who recorded that video. So which is kind of weird to think about something going viral and the person behind it, which is kind of interesting. He didn't even really mean for it to go like that. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, that is something that did also happen that I forgot to include in the locker. But it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Well, it's what it was a video at the Walmart by our house. It's a newer Walmart, but I say our new Walmart because when we move, that's the Walmart we go to. It's basically over the 4th of July weekend, and Walmart has American flags all over the place, and everyone stopped and just started singing the national anthem. All the customers, and there was Jeff's wife's friend's husband recorded it, and it went viral, and that's just pretty cool. It's one of those things that I'm like, man, I wish I was there, man. I'd start chiming in. But that's just
and the crazy part is Brian's met him. He was at my wife and I's wedding. His wife actually was my wife's maid of honor. So yeah, Brian actually met her husband whenever I got married to my wife. So he probably didn't remember him until he saw the video. But as soon as he saw the video, I'm sure he remembered him. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, that happened over the last week or so or the last couple of weeks, really, because I've been gone for one episode at least. But yeah, that's kind of insane that happened. And my wife texted me and I was like, what are you talking about? And then all of a sudden people on that weren't associated with him on my Facebook were interacting with it. And I was like, what? You don't even know the guy. And then it was just weird.
Yeah.
It was so weird, but yeah, crazy, interesting, cool, kind of all at the same time. I'm sure it freaked them out, because I'm sure it was like all of a sudden they're getting phone calls and people want to interview them. And I was like, that's so that would not fly in my house. My wife would be like, I'm not going to talk to the news. But yeah, it's kind of cool. But yeah, like one other thing I also forgot was that I watched the State of Play, PlayStation State of Play, a 30-minute broadcast, and it was pretty cool. They talked about a bunch of indie games and stuff that are coming. We have some PS Plus games that are coming down the pipeline that are kind of interesting. But yeah, Sony still has not done their full showcase yet. Everybody keeps harping on them. When are they going to do it? When are they going to do it? The rumor is they're waiting for Call of Duty. They're waiting because there's a bunch of hoopla with Call of Duty right now. Why hasn't Activision shown the game off yet? By the time they should have shown the game off at this point, which is kind of weird, but it seems like there's a bit of a delay going on there because they want to show that on their showcase too. So, but yeah, that's another thing I'm kind of looking out for, because will be absolutely excited whenever the actual showcase happens. It's like an hour and a half, and there's rumors they'll show God of War. There's rumors that they'll show off the PS5 version of GTA, which I'm sure is going to be a way big bump up in graphics compared to it now, which is crazy. But there's a lot that, and I know me and Brian keep talking about it, but Last of Us factions, please.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Because that will be my go-to multiplayer game for a long time. So
yes.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I got.
All right, man. Well, we will shoot out an episode next week. It might be on a different day, depending on what works with our schedule. That's just the way these things go. But I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend and a fantastic week and safe and hope all your dreams come true. All right. But remember, Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, just try to share the content, share it around, share it to your friends, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm probably going to be streaming on Twitch tonight. I'll be streaming the end of Ratchet and Clank. So if you don't want to get it spoiled, don't watch. If you maybe just want to watch me play it, then that's cool. But I will be platinuming that game. So, and then also I'll probably end up platinuming Last of Us Part 2. I still want to platinum that game. So, but yeah, just go ahead and interact with us there. Interact with Brian through email. If you have any questions at all, or if you want to correct us, maybe we got something wrong, give us a heads up and tell us that we're horrible and that we should never podcast again.
Tell us you suck. Yeah, no, guys, we just do this for fun and something that we enjoy doing. So we hope you guys enjoyed too. I want to thank you guys so much for taking times out of your busy lives to listen. So share it. Like Jeff said, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on Google, we're on Apple, we're on anywhere you can possibly find most good podcast shows. We're on there. But I'll just say, remember, rules are rules, and if you break them, there's consequences. All right, people? All right, it's not that hard to understand.
Brian comes after you if the rules are broken, guys. All right, just know that.
In your nightmares. No. But, all right, guys, have fun this week. Thanks, Jeff, again for a good episode, and God bless.
All right, take care, everybody. Bye.